The heavy oak door of the honeymoon suite clicked shut behind us, the sound echoing slightly in the opulent silence. I leaned back against it, letting out a long breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "We made it, Laura," I murmured, a wide grin spreading across my face. The stress of the wedding day, the logistics, the crowds, the endless smiling melted away, replaced by a profound sense of peace and arrival. Here we were, Mr. and Mrs. Davenport, starting our life together in this ridiculously luxurious room overlooking the city skyline. Laura laughed, the sound like wind chimes, and kicked off her heels near the entryway. At 45, I'd thought days like this were behind me, resigned to a comfortable solitude. Then Laura, vibrant and warm, had entered my life 18 months ago, and suddenly everything felt possible again. She turned, her wedding dress shimmering softly in the low light, her eyes sparkling. "We did, Michael, and it was perfect, wasn't it?" "Perfect," I agreed, stepping forward to wrap my arms around her waist, pulling her close. She smelled faintly of champagne and the expensive perfume I'd bought her for her birthday. Her head rested against my chest, and I could feel the steady beat of her heart against mine. This felt right, solid, the foundation I'd always wanted but never quite found. "I'm going to take a quick shower," she said after a moment, pulling back slightly. "Wash off the day, you know." She gave me a quick, affectionate kiss. "Don't go anywhere." "Wouldn't dream of it," I smiled, watching her disappear into the marble-clad bathroom. The sound of the shower starting was a soft hiss in the background. I wandered further into the suite, taking it all in. The plush carpets, the king-sized bed scattered with rose petals, the floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing a glittering panorama of city lights. A bottle of champagne sat chilling in an ice bucket beside 2 crystal flutes, a complimentary offering from the hotel. Everything felt aligned, earned, the culmination of careful planning, shared dreams, and a love that felt deep and true. I felt a surge of gratitude so strong it almost brought tears to my eyes. After the messiness of my first marriage ending years ago, the cautious dating scene, the quiet resignation, finding Laura had felt like finding solid ground after drifting at sea. I noticed her phone lying on the small table beside the sofa, plugged into a portable charger. She was always meticulous about keeping it charged. I smiled, thinking about setting an early alarm so we wouldn't waste our first morning as husband and wife. I picked it up, intending to find the clock app. The screen flickered to life, unlocked. She often forgot to lock it immediately after using it. And that's when I saw it. It wasn't a notification or a new message. The screen was open to her photo gallery, but not the main camera roll. It was an album, one I'd never seen before, labeled simply with a single initial, R. Curious, thinking it might be photos from a recent trip with her friend Rebecca, I tapped it open. My breath hitched. The room seemed to tilt. It wasn't Rebecca. The photos weren't travel snaps. They were intimate. Not explicit in a graphic way, but unmistakably private. Laura, laughing, looking relaxed, happy, wrapped in the arms of another man. A man I recognized instantly. Robert, her colleague, the one she'd always described as a good friend, like a brother almost. There were pictures of them on what looked like a beach vacation, clinking wine glasses in a dimly lit restaurant, posing playfully in front of landmarks I didn't recognize from any trip she'd told me about. The dates stamped on the photos weren't from years ago before me. They were recent, shockingly recent. One was dated just 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks before our wedding day. My stomach twisted into a knot of ice. I felt cold, clammy. My hand trembled as I scrolled numbly through the images, each one a blow. The easy intimacy, the shared smiles, the casual touches, they screamed of a relationship far deeper, far more established than friendship. The "like a brother" line echoed in my head, mocking me. How? When? The questions slammed into me. The late nights supposedly spent working on deadlines, the weekend conference she attended last month, the one Robert also happened to be at, though she'd insisted their paths barely crossed, the vague answers when I'd asked about her day. It all clicked into place with sickening clarity. Each instance wasn't an isolated event. It was part of a pattern, a carefully constructed narrative designed to deceive me. The sound of the shower stopped. Panic seized me. I quickly backed out of the photo app, my fingers fumbling, nearly dropping the phone. I locked the screen and placed it back on the table exactly as I'd found it, praying my face didn't betray the cataclysm that had just occurred inside me. I turned away, walking towards the window, gripping the edge of the heavy curtain, trying to compose myself. The city lights blurred through a sudden film of moisture in my eyes. Betrayed. The word felt inadequate. This wasn't just a simple betrayal. This was a demolition. The foundation I thought we were building, it was quicksand. The perfect wedding day, a meticulously staged farce. Our life together, a lie she had expertly woven around me. I heard the bathroom door open, the soft click echoing the earlier sound of the suite door, but this time it felt ominous. Laura emerged, wrapped in a fluffy white hotel robe, her hair damp, her face scrubbed clean and glowing. She looked fresh, relaxed, beautiful, and utterly alien. "Much better," she sighed, stretching slightly. She walked towards me, smiling. "What are you thinking about over here staring out at the city?" I forced myself to turn, leaning back against the window frame, trying to keep my expression neutral. It was the hardest acting job of my life. "Just how lucky I am," I managed, the words tasting like poison. She beamed, stepping closer, looping her arms around my neck. "Me too, Michael. So lucky." Her eyes searched mine, clear and seemingly guileless. How could she do it? How could she stand there, fresh from evidence of her infidelity, and look at me with such apparent affection, such unwavering calm? Was she that good an actress, or was she so compartmentalized that she felt no conflict, no guilt? The proximity was suffocating. Her scent, the warmth of her body, the feel of her arms around me, it all felt tainted now. I wanted to recoil, to push her away, to demand answers, to unleash the storm of anger and hurt raging inside me. But I didn't. Some deeply ingrained instinct for self-preservation took over. Not now. Not like this. Exposing my pain felt like giving her more power, validating the lie somehow. I gently disentangled myself, stepping back towards the champagne bucket. "Should we open this?" I asked, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. "Definitely," she agreed readily, moving towards the bed. "Let me just slip into something more comfortable first." She retrieved a silk nightgown from her overnight bag and disappeared back into the bathroom momentarily. While she was gone, I gripped the neck of the champagne bottle, the cold glass biting into my palm. My mind raced. What did I know? An affair with Robert. ongoing, recent. Hidden trips, secret photo albums. How long had it really been going on? The 18 months we'd been together? Longer? Had I been the fool from the very beginning? The sheer premeditation of it was staggering. She had planned this wedding, smiled through the engagement photos, written vows, all while maintaining a secret life. Standing beside me at the altar today, pledging fidelity, while knowing she had those photos on her phone, knowing Robert existed in that hidden corner of her life. It wasn't just infidelity, it was a profound, calculated disrespect. Laura returned, wearing the pale blue silk nightgown. She looked ethereal, lovely, a perfect bride on her wedding night. The image clashed violently with the sordid reality I now knew. She picked up her phone from the table, glancing at the screen briefly before tucking it into her robe pocket. Did she check? Did she notice I might have seen? Her expression gave nothing away. "Ready for that champagne?" she asked, walking towards me, her smile firmly in place. I popped the cork with more force than necessary. It flew across the room, hitting the far wall with a dull thud. Laura jumped slightly, then laughed. "Someone's eager?" I poured the bubbling liquid into the two flutes, my hand surprisingly steady. I handed one to her, our fingers brushing. Her skin felt warm, alive. Mine felt like ice. "To us," she said, raising her glass, her eyes meeting mine over the rim. "To forever." Forever. The word hung in the air between us, heavy and meaningless. I couldn't repeat it. I lifted my glass in a silent, hollow gesture and took a sip. The champagne tasted metallic, sour, or maybe that was just the taste of betrayal coating my tongue. We stood there for a moment, the silence stretching, punctuated only by the faint hum of the city outside. Laura seemed content, sipping her champagne, gazing around the beautiful suite. Was she thinking about the future? Our future? Or was she already planning her next communication with Robert, figuring out how to maintain the balance, keep the plate spinning? I needed to sit down. My legs felt unsteady. I moved to one of the plush armchairs near the window, sinking into it. Laura followed, perching on the ottoman in front of me, resting her hand on my knee. "Are you tired?" she asked gently. "It was a long day." "Yeah," I admitted, focusing on a non-committal truth. "Long day." "We have 2 whole weeks of this, though," she said brightly. "Just us, exploring, relaxing, no schedules, no demands." She squeezed my knee playfully. "Just Mr. and Mrs. Davenport on their honeymoon." The honeymoon. A trip meticulously planned, flights booked, boutique hotels reserved across Italy. The thought of spending 2 weeks trapped in this intimate charade with her, pretending everything was fine, made my stomach churn. Every shared meal, every historical site, every beautiful landscape would be viewed through the filter of her deceit. It felt impossible, unbearable. She leaned forward slightly, her expression softening. "Talk to me, Michael. You seem distant. Is something wrong? Did something happen at the reception?" Her performance was flawless. The concerned wife, sensing her husband's unease, inviting confidence. If I hadn't seen those photos, I would have believed her. I might have confessed to feeling overwhelmed, maybe even voiced some vague anxiety about the future, but I had seen them, and her feigned concern felt like another layer of manipulation. I met her gaze, holding it steady, searching for any flicker, any tell. There was nothing, just wide, clear eyes reflecting the lamplight. "No," I said, my voice flat. "Nothing's wrong. Just tired, like I said." She studied my face for another moment, then seemed to accept my answer, leaning back slightly. "Okay. Well, maybe we should just have an early night then. Unwind properly." She finished her champagne and stood up, stretching languidly. "I think this amazing bed is calling my name." She walked over to the bed, pulling back the heavy duvet, revealing crisp white sheets beneath the scattered rose petals. She slid under the covers, patting the space beside her. "Come on, husband. Time for bed." Husband. The word felt like a physical blow this time. I couldn't move. The thought of lying beside her, feeling her warmth, pretending intimacy, while the images from her phone burned behind my eyes, it was repulsive. "I think I'll sit here for a bit," I said, gesturing vaguely towards the window. "Finish my drink. Enjoy the view." She looked surprised, maybe a little hurt. "Oh, okay. Don't be too long." "I won't," I lied. She settled back against the pillows, watching me for a moment before turning off the bedside lamp on her side, plunging that half of the room into shadow. Within minutes, her breathing evened out, deepening into the slow, regular rhythm of sleep. She looked peaceful, untroubled, as if today had been exactly what it seemed, the happy start of a lifelong commitment. I sat there in the semi-darkness, the city lights painting patterns on the opposite wall. The champagne flute felt heavy in my hand. Silence descended again, thicker this time, filled with the weight of my discovery and her oblivious slumber. Alone. I had never felt so profoundly alone, not even in the years between marriages. This was a different kind of solitude, the isolation of knowing you've been living a lie, that the person sleeping peacefully just feet away is a stranger, a skilled deceiver who happens to wear your wedding ring. The anger I'd suppressed earlier began to bubble up again, cold and sharp. The audacity of it, the sheer, calculated cruelty. Bringing evidence of her affair into our honeymoon suite on her phone, sleeping soundly beside me after pledging her life to me. It wasn't just careless. It felt like a final, contemptuous act of dominance. My mind, clearer now, started working. Options laid themselves out like cold, hard facts. Confrontation? No, not now. It would achieve nothing but a messy, emotional scene that she would likely try to manipulate. Leave? Walk out now, just like I'd wanted to earlier? Where would I go? Back home? The thought felt exhausting. Stay? Endure the next 2 weeks, pretending, gathering more information, planning my exit strategy? That felt like a slow poisoning. I needed advice, legal advice, financial advice. I needed to know my rights, my options. Annulment? Divorce? How did this work when the marriage was barely hours old? I slowly stood up, careful not to make a sound, and walked over to the table where my own phone lay charging. I unplugged it, the screen lighting up with the background photo I'd set weeks ago, a smiling selfie of Laura and me on a hike, looking happy, carefree. The image felt like a relic from another life. I walked out onto the balcony, closing the heavy glass door quietly behind me. The night air was cool, carrying the distant sounds of the city, sirens, traffic, the faint thrum of unseen lives. I leaned against the railing, the metal cold beneath my hands, mirroring the chill that had settled deep in my bones. Below, the city glittered, a vast, indifferent expanse. Millions of stories unfolding, millions of connections, millions of heartbreaks. Mine was just one more, lost in the noise. I looked down at my phone, its screen dark. I thought about calling Sarah, needing her steady presence, but it was too late, too much to unload on her right now. I thought about calling David, but what could he say? My thumb hovered over the contacts, scrolling down until I found the name I needed. My lawyer. It was the middle of the night, but I knew he sometimes worked late. Even if he didn't answer, I could leave a message. Start the process. The cool air felt sharp against my face. Laura slept peacefully inside, oblivious in her cocoon of lies. Out here, under the vast, uncaring sky, the reality of my situation felt stark and undeniable. The future I had envisioned yesterday was gone, obliterated. What lay ahead was unknown, daunting, but it would be mine, forged in this cold, clear moment of absolute certainty. The warmth I thought I'd found was an illusion. All that remained was the chill. Utterly alone on the balcony, the city lights swimming unfocused below. Cold, so cold. My fingers felt numb as I dialed Arthur's number. It rang 4 times, each ring echoing the hollow space inside me, before clicking over to his voicemail. His professional, slightly gravelly voice filled the silence. "You've reached Arthur Vance. Please leave a message." I took a steadying breath. "Arthur," I began, my voice low, controlled. "It's Michael Davenport. Something significant has happened regarding the marriage. Less than 12 hours in. I need to discuss options immediately. Annulment, separation, asset protection. Call me as soon as you get this, regardless of the hour." I paused, then added, "Discretion is paramount, obviously." I ended the call, the silence rushing back in. The first step was taken. The wheels were in motion. It felt strangely anticlimactic, leaving a message into the void, but it was something concrete, an action in the face of overwhelming passivity. I stayed on the balcony for a while longer, letting the cool air try to clear my head. It didn't work. My thoughts remained muddy, circling the same painful points: the deception, the intimacy in those photos, the casual way she carried her secrets. Robert, her friend. Had he been at the wedding today? Yes, he had. I recalled seeing him briefly across the reception hall, nursing a drink, offering a polite, distant smile. Had he known then that his lover was marrying me? The thought was nauseating. Had they exchanged glances, shared silent jokes at my expense? The chill started to seep deeper, becoming uncomfortable. I couldn't stay out here all night. Reluctantly, I slid the glass door open and stepped back into the suffocating warmth of the suite. Laura hadn't moved. She lay on her side, facing away from me, one arm tucked under the pillow, the picture of innocence. The contrast between her peaceful facade and the turmoil she'd unleashed within me was jarring. How could someone capable of such profound deceit sleep so soundly? I couldn't bring myself to get into that bed. The thought of lying beside her, feeling her warmth, pretending nothing had happened, was impossible. I retrieved a spare blanket from the closet, thick plush hotel wool, and settled back into the armchair by the window. I didn't turn on any lights. The ambient glow from the city skyline provided enough illumination. Sleep was out of the question. I sat there, watching the lights twinkle, the occasional flash of emergency vehicle lights painting streaks across the buildings. My mind wouldn't shut off. It replayed conversations, searched for missed clues, tried to pinpoint the exact moment the lies began. Was it from the start? Was our entire relationship built on this treacherous foundation? Had her smiles always been masks, her affectionate words carefully scripted? I thought about the practicalities. The honeymoon, 2 weeks in Italy, obviously canceled. How would I explain that? To the travel agent, the hotels, to our families who were eagerly awaiting photos. Then there were the finances. We hadn't merged everything yet, thankfully, but there were joint plans, shared expenses already incurred for the wedding, the honeymoon. Arthur would know how to untangle that. And the house. My house, the one she'd moved into 6 months ago, bringing her belongings, her laughter, her lies. I couldn't imagine living there with her now. I couldn't imagine her not living there either, until legally sorted. Hours passed. The city lights gradually dimmed as the first hint of dawn began to stain the eastern horizon, turning the sky from inky black to a bruised purple, then a pale, washed-out gray. The transition felt symbolic, the end of a dark night, the beginning of a bleak, uncertain day. My first full day as Laura's husband. The sound of her stirring brought me sharply back to the present. She yawned, stretched luxuriously under the covers, then rolled over, blinking sleepily in the dim morning light. Her eyes found me in the armchair. A small frown creased her brow. "Michael, you're still up?" Her voice was thick with sleep. "Did you sleep in the chair?" "Couldn't sleep," I replied, my voice rough from disuse and lack of rest. I kept my tone neutral, carefully devoid of the accusations simmering just below the surface. She pushed herself up, leaning against the headboard, pulling the sheet up around her shoulders. "Oh, honey, are you feeling okay? Maybe you're coming down with something?" Genuine concern seemed to color her voice. Or was it just another performance? It was impossible to tell anymore. The trust required to believe her was gone, shattered irrevocably. "I'm fine," I said curtly, "just thinking." "About what?" She patted the empty space beside her on the bed again. "Come here, tell me." The invitation felt obscene. I stayed rooted in the chair. "About the honeymoon," I said, seizing on a practical anchor. "Italy!" Her face lit up. "I know! I can't wait. 2 weeks of pasta, wine, and us." She smiled, that radiant smile that had once melted my defenses. Now it just looked predatory. "What should we do first? Rome? Florence?" I watched her, marveling at her ability to compartmentalize, to act as if nothing was amiss. Or maybe, terrifyingly, for her, nothing was amiss. Maybe this duality was normal for her. The thought sent another chill down my spine. My phone, which I'd placed on the small table beside my chair, vibrated softly. I glanced down. Arthur Vance. My heart gave a hard thump. He was calling back. Now. Laura followed my gaze to the phone, then back to my face, her expression shifting slightly. Confusion? Suspicion? "Who's calling so early?" she asked, a slight edge creeping into her voice. I didn't answer her. I stood up, picking up the phone, my movements feeling deliberate, almost robotic. I needed to take this call. I needed privacy. Without looking at her, I walked back towards the balcony door. "Michael?" Her voice was sharper now, questioning. "What's going on? Why are you acting so strange?" I ignored her, sliding the heavy glass door open and stepping outside into the cool, gray morning air. The city was waking up below, the sounds of traffic growing louder. I pressed the phone to my ear, turning my back on the room, on her, on the wreckage of our wedding night. "Arthur," I said, keeping my voice low but steady. "Michael." Arthur's voice came back, crisp and professional, cutting through the morning haze. "Got your message. I'm sorry to hear there's trouble already. Tell me what happened, and more importantly—" He paused, his tone becoming serious, focused. "What do you want to do?" I gripped the cold metal railing, staring out at the sprawling, indifferent city. What did I want to do? The question hung in the air, simple, direct, yet overwhelmingly complex. Undo yesterday? Impossible. Go back to blissful ignorance? Gone forever. What was left? Only the path forward, away from the lie. The first step had been the message. Now came the next. Begin. Just begin the process of reclaiming my life. That's what I wanted. To start. Begin. "Arthur," I began, my voice steady despite the tremor I felt inside. "It's clear the marriage was entered under false pretenses. Significant, ongoing infidelity. I discovered concrete evidence last night." I didn't elaborate on the photos. The details weren't necessary for him now. "Less than a day in, and it's irreconcilable. I want out. Annulment, if possible. If not, the quickest, cleanest separation." There was a brief pause on the line, then Arthur's calm professionalism returned. "Understood, Michael. Annulment can be tricky, requires proving fraud or lack of consummation depending on jurisdiction, but given the timeline and clear evidence of prior infidelity impacting the commitment itself, we have grounds to pursue it aggressively. The immediate priority, however, is separation and asset protection. Don't confront her directly if you can avoid it. It rarely helps legally and often escalates things negatively. Did you secure the evidence you mentioned?" "Not physically," I admitted, thinking of the photos on her phone. "But I know what I saw and where." "Okay. Document everything you recall. Dates, times, specifics of the evidence, her reactions, your actions since discovery. Timelines are crucial. We'll file for legal separation immediately today. I'll need you to come into the office. Can you do that?" "Yes," I said. "I'm in the city now. I'll head straight there." "Good. Don't discuss legal actions with her. Keep communication minimal and factual, if unavoidable. Focus on disentanglement. I'll start drafting the initial paperwork. See you soon." He hung up. I lowered the phone, the conversation leaving me with a chilling sense of purpose. It was real. This was happening. The legal machinery was grinding into gear. I took one last look at the gray cityscape, then turned back towards the suite. Through the glass door, I saw Laura standing near the bed, her arms crossed, her face tight with suspicion and dawning anger. The sleepy, concerned wife was gone, replaced by someone bracing for a confrontation. Our eyes met through the glass. The connection was immediate, fraught with unspoken accusations and the chasm that had opened between us. She knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. Maybe she didn't know what I knew, but she knew the charade was over. Her posture was defensive, her eyes narrowed. My resolve hardened. Arthur's advice echoed. Avoid confrontation. Minimal communication. Disentanglement. That started now. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't endure another minute in this suite, this city, this lie. Italy was impossible, but so was going back to the house. I needed neutral ground. Distance. I slid the door open and stepped back inside. the air thick with tension. Laura didn't speak immediately, just watched me, her gaze sharp, assessing. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. I walked past her towards the closet where my overnight bag was. "Leaving?" Her voice rose, sharp with disbelief and a hint of panic. "Leaving where? Michael, what is going on? Talk to me. Was that a lawyer?" I didn't answer, just pulled my bag out, placing it on the luggage rack. I started gathering the few toiletries I'd unpacked, moving with numb efficiency. "Don't ignore me," she snapped, stepping towards me. "This is our honeymoon. You can't just leave." "What did I do?" "What did you do?" The question hung there, dripping with false innocence. I zipped my bag shut, the sound harsh in the quiet room. I picked it up, slinging the strap over my shoulder. I finally looked at her, meeting her angry, confused gaze with a coldness that felt foreign, yet necessary. "I know, Laura." Her eyes widened almost imperceptibly. A flicker of pure fear crossed her face before being masked by renewed anger. "Know what? What are you talking about?" But I didn't elaborate. I didn't need to engage. I just held her gaze for a second longer, letting the weight of my words sink in, then turned and walked towards the door. My hand closed around the cool metal handle. Behind me, I heard her sharp intake of breath, the beginning of a protest, a denial, a plea. It didn't matter. None of it mattered anymore. Just the door and the path away from her. Opening it, stepping through. The click felt final. I didn't look back as I walked down the long carpeted hotel corridor. The silence behind me was more deafening than any shouting could have been. Each step felt heavy, deliberate, carrying me further away from the wreckage of the suite, the marriage, the life I thought I was building. Downstairs, the morning lobby buzzed with oblivious activity. Guests checking out, staff bustling, the clink of coffee cups. I moved through it like a ghost, unseen, unnoticed in my private catastrophe. Pushing through the revolving doors, the cool city air hit me again, carrying the scent of exhaust and damp pavement. I handed the valet my ticket, waiting numbly by the curb as my car was brought around. The world felt muted, distant. As the car pulled up, the engine humming quietly, I slid into the driver's seat. The leather felt familiar, solid beneath me. My hands gripped the steering wheel. Where now? Arthur's office. Yes, focus, just drive. The engine turned over, no looking back, just the road ahead, fractured and uncertain. Cold, just so incredibly cold inside.